Hello everyone and welcome to another perspective with your boy TyreseBiv. And with the NBA season coming up, man, the talks are already up about LeBron James and winning an MVP and his legacy. Let me first state that I think LeBron James is the second greatest player of all time. Second greatest player of all time. I think he is the greatest talent that we ever seen in the NBA. I think that he never fully reached his capabilities, in my opinion. Simply because of a mentality. He just doesn't always want to be, the killer. He doesn't have that killer instinct all the time, which, in my opinion, is not a negative thing. I don't think it's a bad thing that it's not in his makeup to have it. He just doesn't have that, and there's nothing wrong with it. But in a sense, people try to use that to diminish who he is and what it is that he has accomplished. You think about where he was in 2007, getting to his first NBA Finals, and the guy and the player that he was, the mentality that he had in the 2007 Eastern Conference Finals against the Pistons was just breathtaking. That guy, I thought, was on his way to being the greatest player ever. And I still believe that if he kept that mentality, he would have been the greatest player ever, because he doesn't lose in the 2011 NBA Finals. Definitely doesn't have the performance that he had, and I don't see him losing to the Warriors in 2015 either, even without a Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. That guy was he was different. He was different. Not sure exactly what happened with him, but he just wasn't that same guy. Really after 2007, you think about LeBron James's career, I don't think any player in the history of sports has ever had the pressure that LeBron James has had on him from day one. You think how many players come in with the expectation of being an all-time great out of high school and get drafted by their hometown team. You think of it as this was what LeBron James did, was the equivalent to Peyton Manning being drafted by the Saints with the expectation of being the greatest quarterback of all time, and also bringing a championship to his hometown team. That was what LeBron James was given, not at 21, 22, 23. He didn't go back home. He was drafted fresh out of high school and given the task of being not only the face of a franchise, but really the savior of a city, of a region, of a state. That's what he was faced with. It was hard given those expectations on him. And I think it was difficult for him to handle being swept. I think if he goes out and he has a good series and they lose to San Antonio, 4-2, I think he can take that on the chin and say, we'll come back out and we'll get him next year. But he was never really the same player after 2008, when Boston got together and they, with the big three, even though they were at the end of their careers, running into them. And then, 2009, he had a great series against Orlando, but he lost. And he just wasn't this, he just has never been that same guy from 2007. Numbers is going to always be great. He's a great basketball player. But what separates him from other greats really is just that mentality of I'm gonna be the reason we win. And versus the mentality of I'm not gonna be the reason we lose. And there's a difference. There's a difference between a guy who loves to win and a guy that hates to lose. I think LeBron James loves to win. I think Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, I think they hated to lose. I don't think LeBron takes losing as personal and as hard as other players in NBA history, and even some players that are in the NBA currently with him. I don't think he takes those losses as hard as one would think he would. And I mean, you can listen to some of the things he said. I think at one point in time he said, man, at the end of the day, this is just a game. And again, there's nothing wrong with him having that attitude or that approach to basketball, and that's fine. But it is what's going to make him different. I had put a post up. I can't remember where. I don't think it was maybe... It might have been on Facebook. I'm not sure exactly what it was, where I put it at. But I asked the question, simple. If you were doing an all-time NBA draft and assuming that Michael Jordan was the first overall pick and you had the second pick, who would you choose? And I got a number of different responses. Kobe, LeBron, Magic, Kareem, Wilt, Shaq, Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell. I got a number of different responses. But my answer was if I had the number 2 pick, and I know a lot of people are going to be upset when I say this, but if I had the number 2 through 10, I probably wouldn't have picked LeBron James. Because I want that dog. I want that guy that I know is going to refuse to lose. At all costs, he's not going to lose. I want him first. And there's not a lot of those guys throughout NBA history. There's not. Now, again, there has never been, in my opinion, a player as talented as LeBron James. There's only been one player, in my opinion, greater than him, but there's never been a player more talented than LeBron James. But because he doesn't have that mentality of refusing to lose, that hating to lose mentality, I'd probably choose a lot of different guys over him. I'd choose Larry Bird over him. I'd choose Magic Johnson over him. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. The guy that he won 2 championships with, I'd choose over him. I'd choose Dwayne Wade over him because Dwayne Wade has that mentality. He has it. And I can understand why Kyrie Irving left LeBron. I can understand it. You think about Kyrie Irving having the mentality of every night, I don't care who else is on the floor with me or against me, I'm the best player on the floor. But every time I play, if we win, it was because of LeBron James. And if we lose, it's because of everybody else. And I'm included in that everybody else. Fair or not. But there's a select few guys who have that ability to do that in the NBA. And Kyrie Irving feels as though he's one of those guys that when we lose, it's not because of me. And when we win, it's because of me. And he wants to put himself in a position to prove that. Now, whether or not he proves it remains to be seen. We'll find out. But I can understand him having that mentality. Kobe Bryant was put in that same situation where Shaq was winning the MVPs, he was getting all the praise, and everybody just looked like Kobe was just riding coattail and riding Shaq's wave. So Kobe wanted an opportunity to prove whom he was, and he did so. Now people can say, well, he had Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol couldn't get out of the first round in Memphis. Pau Gasol was getting swept out of the first round in Memphis. Oh, well, Kobe wasn't getting out of the first round either. Very true. Very true. But Pau needed Kobe more than Kobe needed Pau. It brings me back to the Michael Jordan thing. And people always talk about how great Michael Jordan's teams were, and I'm looking, and you go back and you look at the roster, and you're like, where? Where are all of these great players? 2 guys that are going to go into the Hall of Fame play with Michael Jordan. That's it. Pippen and Rodman. Horace Grant. Bill Cartwright. Luke Longley. You know, you had an older Ron Harper. He wasn't the athletic guy that was in Cleveland. Steve Kerr would probably go in down as a coach. Judge Butchler?